WebP is an image format employing both lossy and lossless compression. It is currently developed by Google, based on technology acquired with the purchase of On2 Technologies. As a derivative of the VP8 video format, it is a sister project to the WebM multimedia container format. WebP-related software is released under a BSD license. The format was first announced in 2010 as a new open standard for lossily compressed true-color graphics on the web, producing smaller files of comparable image quality to the older JPEG scheme. On October 3, 2011, Google announced WebP support for animation, ICC profile, XMP metadata and tiling. On November 18, 2011, Google began to experiment with lossless compression and support for transparency in both lossless and lossy modes. Support has been enabled by default in LibWeb 0.2.0. According to Google's measurements, a conversion from PNG to WebP results in a 45% reduction in file size when starting with PNGs found on the web, and a 28% reduction compared to PNGs that are recompressed with PNG-COUSH and PNG-OUT. Google has proposed using WebP for animated images as an alternative to the popular GIF format, citing the advantages of 24-bit color with transparency, combining frames with lossy and lossless compression in the same animation, and as well as support for seeking to specific frames. Google reports a 64% reduction in file size for images converted from animated GIFs to lossy WebP, and a 19% reduction when converted to lossless WebP. Technology: WebP's lossy compression algorithm is based on the intra-frame coding of the VP8 video format and the resource interchange file format as a container format. As such, it is a block-based transformation scheme with 8 bits of color depth and a luminance-chrominance model with chroma subsampling by a ratio of 1:2. Without further content, the mandatory RIF container has an overhead of only 20 bytes, though it can also hold additional metadata. The side length of WebP images is limited to 16,383 pixels. WebP is based on block prediction. Each block is predicted on the values from the 3 blocks above it and from 1 block to the left of it. There are 4 basic modes of block prediction: horizontal, vertical, DC, and true motion. Mispredicted data and non-predicted blocks are compressed in a 4A, 4-pixel subblock with a discrete cosine transform or a Walsh or Hadamard transform. Both transforms are done with fixed-point arithmetic to avoid rounding errors. The output is compressed with entropy encoding. WebP also has explicit support for parallel decoding. The reference implementation consists of converter software in the form of a command line program for Linux and a programming library for the decoding, the same as for WebM. The open source community quickly managed to port the converter to other platforms, such as Windows. WebP unregistered trademark S lossless compression uses advanced techniques such as dedicated entropy codes for different color channels, exploiting 2D locality of backward reference distances and a color cache of recently used colors. This complements basic techniques such as dictionary coding, Huffman coding and color indexing transform. Support: amongst web browsers, Google Chrome and Opera natively support WebP. All WebM-compatible browsers can also display WebP via a JavaScript shim. WebP can also be displayed in all major browsers using the WebP.js JavaScript library, although support in Internet Explorer 6 and above is achieved using Flash. Amongst graphics software, Picasa, Photoline, Pixamator, ImageMagick, Converter, XNView, IrfanView and GDAL all natively support WebP. Telegraphics has released a free plugin that enables WebP support in Adobe Photoshop. GIMP and Paint.net support WebP via plugins. Google has also released a plugin for Microsoft Windows that enables WebP support in Windows Photo Viewer, Microsoft Office 2010, Fast Picture Viewer, and any other application that uses Windows Imaging Component. FFmpeg linked with libvpx can extract VP8 keyframes from WebM media and a script can then add the WebP RIF header and the NUL pad byte for odd frame lengths. GMAIL and Picasa web albums support WebP. Support for WebP is also planned for Google App Engine. The instant previews feature of Google Search currently uses WebP internally to reduce disk space used by previews. Android 4.0 supports encoding and decoding WebP images. SDL Image supports the format since 1.2.11. Below is a list software implementations that support WebP as of January 2013. Ongoing implementations, restrictions, like VP8 on which it is based. Lossy WebP only supports 8-bit YUV420 format, which may cause color loss on images with thin contrast elements and ghosting in anaglyph. Criticism: in September 2010, Fiona Glazer, a developer of the X264 encoder, wrote a very early critique of WebP. Comparing different encodings of a reference image, she stated that the quality of the WebP encoded result was the worst of the three, mostly because of blurriness on the image. Her main remark was that LIBVPX, a much more powerful encoder than FFmpeg's JPEG encoder, loses because it tries too hard to optimize for PSNR, arguing instead that good PSI-CHO visual optimizations are more important than anything else for compression. Pascal Marcimino, developer of the CWEBP encoder, reports improvements to the WebP encoder with a number of defects resolved since the preview releases. As WebP is an open-source format under active development, issues can be expected to both resolve and regress as they are addressed on an ad hoc basis. In October 2013, Josh Arce from Mozilla Research published a comprehensive study of current lossy encoding techniques and was not able to conclude WebP outperformed JPEG by any significant margin. Based on this, they concluded effort in adding support for WebP was better invested in an improved JPEG encoder, which they went on to publish. See also, JPEG, an image format used for lossy compression on the web, which WebP lossy is comparable to. PNG, an image format used for lossless compression on the web, which WebP lossless is comparable to. GIF, used for animated images on the web, which animated WebP images are intended to replace. MNG and APNG, another animated image format, related to PNG, JPEG 2000, an improvement intended to replace the older JPEG by the JPEG Committee, introduced in 2000, JPEG XR, an alternative to JPEG 2000 supporting HDR and wide gamut color spaces, introduced. In 2009, references. External links, official website, Windows codec, libweb4.net, Bugzilla at Mozilla, 600,919, implement WebP image support, Bugzilla at Mozilla, 856,375, implement WebP image support, Take 2.